Hello, BookTube. I have a pile of Monday mail for you, and the first item is not a book at all. It's a piece of technology. A while ago, I showed you on this channel that I ordered and received a Bluetooth keyboard for my iPad, where you put the iPad in here, it connects wirelessly, it connects via Bluetooth, and then suddenly you have keyboard capability that's much greater than the touchscreen keyboard on the iPad itself. And I had a Bluetooth keyboard 10 years ago, and it didn't work all that well. And in a classic Steve maneuver, I said a plague on all their houses. I thought, okay, that means Bluetooth keyboards don't work very well. And that's not true. Of course, that's not true. I just bought a bad Bluetooth keyboard, that's all. But it took an embarrassingly long amount of time for that realization to dawn on me. So then I figured, okay, it's 2020. You've given yourself time to cool off, so let's order another Bluetooth keyboard. Again, for the goal of redundancy, I want to have as many working computers as possible in my possession. And by working, I mean not an enormous workaround, but an actual thing that works as a laptop. Because I have vivid memories of my earliest days with laptop computers where they weren't reliable for me, and probably the problem was more me than them because I didn't know what I was doing. But one way or another, now I need a very good working computer. I cannot do without it. I cannot say, oh well, the computer's on the fritz, but I can still go to work in the morning. No, that is my work. So I figured, you know, my iPad is a miraculous device. I absolutely love it, absolutely live with it. What if I could get a Bluetooth keyboard that would work, where I could pop it in and make it a computer as well? So I got this, and it was cheap. I figured I'll do it as an experiment, see what they're like in 2020. This is a plastic thing, doesn't even have a manufacturer's brand, and it, boy oh boy, I don't know if you can see in this lighting, but it picks up gunk like crazy. Just like crazy. Now, there isn't any effective way to clean it. But I used it and it worked. It worked fairly well. But my two main complaints with it were, one, that it picks up all this gunk, and two, that the keyboard itself, which is advertised as having bright gamer style backlighting, that backlighting only turned on when the Bluetooth was initially activated, and then it turned off and I couldn't figure out a way to turn it back on. And I thought, okay, well, this is yards better than the Bluetooth keyboard that I had before. This actually does work. Like I said, it actually does work. The first thing I did when I put the iPad in it was to call up Google Docs and start typing, start creating something. And it worked just fine. It worked just fine, and it had all the functionality of allowing me to send that document elsewhere and save it and whatnot, but without me two finger typing on the electronic keyboard of the iPad itself. And I was willing to let it go at that, but then I figured, well, you know, let's not let another 10 years go by. This is a distinct improvement, but there are a couple of things about it that you don't like. Why not shop around and get another Bluetooth keyboard? No law against that. They're not that expensive. So I did. And it came in the mail. And this one is, I believe it does. This is a Yekby. I think that is the brand name of this thing. And you're going to notice right away, this is the reason it's a little heavier, is because it has my iPad in it. This is, well, let me pop the iPad out so I can show it to you. Actually, maybe I can't do that very easily. The whole key about these things is that it's not supposed to be easy to pop the iPad out, right? That's, no. Okay, well, that's all right. You can tell right away, this has no problem with the backlighting on the keys. The backlighting on the keys is not only on when you ask it to be, but it changes color. I don't know if you're being able to see that, but it changes to like a dozen different colors in the course. Very entertaining. A small thing, but very entertaining. And the other thing is that this is not the same material. This is not going to, this might get a scratch or a scuff, but it's not going to absorb fingerprints in the same way at all. It's a sturdier thing. It costs a little bit more money, and that's probably why. And that gives me, once again, a new laptop computer. This allows me to do all of the stuff that I would do. The biggest hesitation, the biggest learning curve for me is not learning the Bluetooth keyboard. It works like a charm, like a charm. For me, the biggest learning curve is remembering that now I have a touch screen, so that some of the things that I want to do here, there's no cursor. So some of the things that I want to do on the keyboard, I have to then touch the screen to do. That's taking a little bit of time to get used to. But one of the things I like about having a Bluetooth keyboard like this, in addition to this one, this first one, as you can see here, is 360 degrees. So you can wrap it around and use your iPad as an iPad without a keyboard in the way. But I have found, this one is not 360 degrees. This only extends to there. But I have found, over the course of using this first one and now using this one, that I really enjoy the fact that this makes the laptop into a book form. So that when I am holding it like this, with the iPad right here, and I call up my books, let me see here, let's wait here just a second for it to come up. I'm reading Stalin. I'm reading another gigantic biography of Stalin. Yeah, when I call up my books, let's see, Mr. Scarborough's Family here. And I'll see, now I'm reduced to being the pre-boomer who's tapping at the iPad while he's on camera. There you have Mr. Scarborough's Family at Project Gutenberg. And instead of holding the iPad and just flipping the pages, instead, when I have this thing crooked open like this, I'm holding it like it was a book. And that is, I don't know, when that's resting on me, on my chest while I'm in bed, and I'm reading that way, I find that I really like it. I really do. So far, this is money extremely well spent. This is brightly colored and really good, really solid. In retrospect, I should have gone for the more solid build the first time instead of getting one of these cheap plastic ones. But I guess I was just curious. I didn't want to be bitten again for a higher price tag. But anyway, that came in the mail, and I opened that. And but all the rest of these things are books, unless I'm very much mistaken. So let's take a look at what we have here. What is this first one? Okay, this first one is okay. This is a trade paperback release of. Is this a paperback? Now in paperback? Mid-May is the date on this thing. This is a paperback release of something that I think we've seen already in hardcover. This is by Rachel Barenbaum, and this is A Bend in the Stars. I feel certain we've talked about this. Let's see if it rings a bell. Sweeping historical fiction with an enthralling cast of characters. In Russia in the summer of 1914, as war with Germany looms and the Tsar's army tightens its grip on the local Jewish community, Miri Abramov and her brilliant physicist brother Vanya, yes, we've seen this. We saw this in hardcover and in advanced copy. Now it's in paperback. Are facing an impossible decision. Since their parents died fleeing to America, Miri and Vanya have been raised by their babushka, the famous matchmaker from Odessa who has taught them to protect themselves at all costs, to fight, to kill if necessary, and always to protect themselves, to have an escape plan. With fierce, headstrong Miri at the verge of becoming one of Russia's only female surgeons, and Vanya hoping to solve the final puzzles of Einstein's elusive theory of relativity, how can they bear to leave the homeland that has given them so much? But when the war is declared and Vanya goes missing along with Miri's fiancé, the respected surgeon, Miri braves the firing squad to go looking for them both, not only not only her own family's safety, but the future of science itself hangs in the balance. I remember being intrigued by this when we first got it, and then I read it and largely liked it. And now it's in a pretty trade paperback. This is $17 in mid-May. So I don't know. In your community, is your community going to have a bookstore in mid-May? Is your community lifting restrictions? I think disastrously, quite a few communities that are still showing upward spiraling in confirmed case numbers are planning on just loosening restrictions anyway, even though the number of confirmed cases and unfortunately the number of deaths is still going up. That's not true all over the country or all over the world, but there are a large number of places in America where that is true, where both those things are true. Where the physical the actual progress of the virus is alarmingly undeterred, and at the same time the social measures are being put in place, are being relaxed as if the virus were on the decline. That in the places where those two things are true at the same time, I don't see any way that combination won't produce exactly the result that you think it will, which will be an absolutely staggering increase in cases and deaths in those places if they open up. I don't know. It's varying from place to place in America. So, I mean, what is your locale like? Are you going to be able to shop for this book? If there's anybody who ships it to the bookstores. Massachusetts, I will certainly not be able to do that. So I'm glad that I have it. Because I don't have the hardcover anymore. Let's see, what is this next one? Oh, okay, this next one is also a paperback release of something that we've already seen. And now we get see, like I mentioned, these things are coming from warehouses, so publicists can't tip in their little their sell sheets. And that's true in this case. All this came with was an invoice. But we've seen this already. This is by Kaylin O'Connor and James Owen Weatherall, and this is the paperback release of The Misinformation Age, How False Beliefs Spread. And that, of course, is the jackalope on the cover, a mythical animal in the American Southwest that you can't go anywhere in the American Southwest without finding souvenirs of this thing, statues, keychains, air fresheners of the jackalope, a thing that does not exist. This is not an urban, this is not a what is it, cryptid at all. This does not exist. This was made up just as a joke, but it's all over. It has taken off. What have we got here? Oh, well, the back is covered in blurbs, and I remember liking this quite a bit. But I don't think, since I don't have a pub sheet and I don't have anything except blurbs, I don't know that I'm going to be able to tell you anything. Let's read you a bit. An essential volume in a political era riven by alternative facts and fake news. This important new study argues that social factors, not individual psychology, are what's essential to understand the persistence of false beliefs, and that we must know how those social forces work in order to fight misinformation effectively. That dovetails with a thing that I read yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, showing the graph numbers of people in America professing to a survey taker that they believe in that the Earth is flat, and that those numbers were themselves completely pancake flat until 2015, 2016, and then they jumped way up. And the study showed that contrary to what your first intuitive jump would be, that goes hand in hand with the election to the Oval Office of a science-denying moron. But that wouldn't have any correlative effect on people, on what people believe in their own homes, or what they tell a survey taker. Instead, the actual answer that seems to be the explanation is much more disturbing, and that is that the YouTube algorithm started pushing those channels, flat Earth channels, because they were getting views. Not because anybody at YouTube thinks the Earth is flat, but maybe nobody thinks at all. Maybe it was all done by algorithm, and it was just popularity, that's all, and it just snowballed. And another very disturbing thing that study determined is that people became flat Earth believers because of that surge in popularity, because of those videos. They hadn't had any inclination to think that way until they started watching all those videos and going down what we've called on this channel a rabbit hole. Meaning that YouTube itself made flat earthers, and presumably, if they tweaked the algorithm, could unmake them. That is terrifying to me, just terrifying. But anyway, those are our first two books, trade paperback releases, very nice trade paperback releases of books that we've already seen. But some of these won't all be like that. Some of these have to be books that I've ordered online. I had a little burst of doing that, and now I'm hoping that burst is over. I don't think I'm going to be overindulging anytime soon. But okay, all right. Sooner or later, we're going to have a talk, you and I, because this can't go on. Much as I am charmed by it, much as it absolutely warms the cockles of my thrice transplanted rhesus monkey heart, the pattern on this channel, I know it's been suspended because of a pandemic and quarantine, but the pattern on this channel is that I wheedle your home address out of you and start sending you boxes of books in the mail. Not the other way around, okay? Not the other way around. As my sainted Ma would have said, you're not made of money. This can't continue. A while ago on this channel, I think it was that I happened by chance to find a Everyman's Library hardcover of a Dostoevsky volume at one of those little free libraries. And I raved on not only the serendipity of finding that book when I hadn't read that translation in 10 years or more, but also that I mentioned that I love Everyman hardcover classic, that their classic hardcover design, either whether it's the classic black and white dust jacket or the beautiful dust jackets that have a piece of artwork. They've got sewn binding and a built-in bookmark and really nice quality paper. They really are a beautiful hardcover classic collection. Not to express any disloyalty to my favorite classic reprint collection, which is paperback, but still really, really nice. And then I think shortly after that, I found a couple, maybe at the Brattle, in one of my last trips there. I found a couple of of Everyman libraries that I really liked, and sang their praises even more. And some of you were listening because you've started sending me Everyman's Library hardcover editions, and I don't know whether you own these things. They've been sitting around your house, and you think, or they're sitting around a parent or a grandparent's house, and you're thinking, no one ever looks at this, no one ever touches it, and I'm not going to. So why not send it to Steve because he said that he loves them? I don't know what the precise derivation of your incredible generosity is, but as long as I have made this rule already, and I will stress it again for what I'm about to show you before I squee all over it, which is that I will lift this rule of don't send me a book. I will lift the rule of that books should go from me to you, not from you to me. I will lift that rule during quarantine. But once that's over, this has got to stop, because you people can't be wasting your time and money sending books to me, okay? But in the meantime, one of you has hit a bullseye once again. This is about as good as a bullseye gets. This is the Tale of Genji in the Modern Library, in the Everyman's Library edition. This is the Edward Seidensticker translation, which just by random chance is the only Genji translation that I don't own. I have the other three, so now I have all four, and I very much have a place in my heart for the Seidensticker. I mailed it away. I had a trade paperback of it, one-volume trade paperback that was fairly nice, and I mailed it away. I mailed it to one of you, and I had the great joy of mailing it to Japan. Which was a lot. It was very pricey to do, but it was a lot of fun to think that volume going all the way to Japan. Those of you who are new to the channel or maybe don't know what I'm talking about, this is a very long and, in my opinion, fantastic novel, a proto-novel, in some people's parlance, the first novel. I love it, absolutely love it. I reread chunks of it or the whole thing very regularly, and now I have a beautiful Everyman's Library hardcover of the Seidensticker translation. And I could not be more grateful. So I'm not, the stern lecture is not meant to undercut my gratitude. I am incredibly grateful. Thank you very much. So let's move on. Let's see if any of these others, there are two more packages here. Let's see if they are gifts that I sent myself. Because I did some online ordering, mainly through eBay. Because I watched the videos by Sean Standfast. Sean D. Standfast's channel just reached 500 subscribers, I think. An enormous milestone, and well-deserved. And he orders books on eBay, and he has been, you know, he's related to horror stories. Probably a lot of you have horror stories, too, of eBay purchases that just went horribly wrong, where the seller was just lying about what they were selling. I've had something like that happen on Amazon, but only very rarely. And the impression I got from Sean is that it's more rife on eBay. So once the reality of quarantine dawned on me, and once I thought, well, you know, I would like some old books coming in here. I don't have any anymore. I don't go to used bookstores. I decided to try it. I went over to eBay and decided to try it just to see what it would be like. I made a few orders. You saw one of them just recently. It was a bulk order. It was a box full of books, and only one of them was not usable. All the rest were, they were slightly battered reading copies, but they were just fine by me. And here's this next one. This is another science fiction anthology. I've been going to these things like crazy. Just something about the combination of science fiction and short stories has just been answering a need for me, so I've been going to these like crazy. And I ordered another Gardner Dozois. This is the 28th annual collection. He did a million of these. He did them for decades. This is the 28th anniversary, the 28th year's best science fiction from eBay. And this is a trade paperback, and it is in fine. It is absolutely fine condition. There's a stamp on the back that says no longer the property of the Dayton Metro Library. And there are a couple of stickers. There's a sticker here and there's a sticker there. Those would be easy to remove. And then there's nothing else wrong with it. This is just fine. And I've been enjoying the daylights out of the anthologies that I have already got. So, all right, I'm logging these in my journal and keeping track of what my track record is for eBay. And this is another, I would call this a success story. I can get these stickers off easily. And the book is not damaged. The book will sit on my shelf forever. And then we have this last one. It's a big, awkward package, so I think it's probably another online purchase. Let's see. Hi, baby. Hi, what you doing, baby? Oh, what you doing? What have we? Okay, all right. This is another eBay purchase. Oh, my. Okay. All right, this one also has a sticker on the spine, but this also has something drastically different. Boy, oh boy. The stories I'm going to have to share with Sean when we finally meet face to face. This is another Gardner Dozois. This is the 19th annual collection of the year's best science fiction. And this is not what was advertised. Oh, there's the Bean. Hi, Bean. Say hi to your friends. They miss you. They love you, baby. They do. They think you're the best. Look at them all. Oh. This is not what the seller advertised. The seller just lied. This is the 19th annual collection, but this is a hardcover with no dust jacket. And the seller that I bought this from specifically said that it had a dust jacket. They said the dust jacket might not be in good condition, but it does have a dust jacket. I don't like naked hardcovers that look like this. So I'm not, obviously it would be a total waste to spend, $1.50 on this thing and then not read it. I will still read it, but I won't keep it. And I know already that I won't keep it, and that's a little irritating. And I don't see the point. I don't see the point of the seller doing that. Are they just assuming? I mean, some of these questions I'm actually essentially just asking to Sean, but the rest of you too will have a lot more experience with eBay than I do. Is the seller just assuming? Are they banking on the fact that I'm going to consider it not worth my while to return this and make a fuss for $1.50? Is that what they're assuming? They're assuming that they can lie and get away with it because the number of people who are going to make an issue of it are small. And is that true? If that's their assumption, is that true? Is that the attitude on eBay, that most people just don't care? I know that's the attitude on Amazon. Most people who get the wrong thing on Amazon don't even consider the idea of returning it and complaining. But I thought maybe eBay would be slightly different, that eBay might be a little more concerned with kind of accurate fulfillment. And so they might raise a ruckus. I'm curious to know. I mean, those of you who shop on eBay, it's not just Sean D. Standfast. He's the funniest one on it with his horror stories. But those of you who shop on eBay, you tell me, if this happened to you, what would you do? This was advertised with a picture pulled offline of the hardcover with the dust jacket. And I saw that the picture was pulled offline, and I thought, okay, well, I've watched enough of Sean's videos. I've read the cautionary tales. Maybe that means that the dust jacket is in horrible shape. So I read the description, not just the general ranking, but down below when the seller gives the specific description of the specific item that they're selling. And the seller specifically said the book has dents and dings in it, and it does, but that it has a dust jacket, and that the dust jacket is in pretty good condition. And it does not. And the seller had to know that. Obviously, the seller had to know they were lying. So what would you do in this circumstance? If you're a frequent buyer on eBay, would you return this? Would you send a note to the seller saying, look, this isn't what you said? What do you propose to do about it? You have an unhappy customer? Is that the route to take? You obviously don't talk to eBay, right? On Amazon, you would talk to Amazon and get a result that way, I would think. But I don't know. Well, it's a little irritating. I will read it. Because I still have a hunger for these anthologies, whether they're in the shape I want or not. But I won't get to keep it. And I was kind of, that's a little disappointing. Okay, so there is a give and take of eBay here. So we have the 19th annual collection of the year's best science fiction, edited by Gardner Dozois, but without its dust jacket. We have the 28th annual collection, so 11 years later, of the same series, with stickers on it that I will remove. So we've got a couple of science fiction anthologies to enjoy, along with all the big pile of the rest of them that I have. That's great. I think these might be the last ones that I did. Then thanks to one of you, thanks to the incredible generosity of somebody out there, you know who you are, I have an absolutely perfect new condition of the Everyman's Library of the Tale of Genji. Look at that. In the side and sticker translation. Incredible. Not only is it a form that I love, but it's a translation I needed. So it goes in this room. It goes in this room. And then a couple of new books. We have the trade paperback of A Bend in the Stars, with blurbs praising it all over it, and the trade paperback of The Misinformation Age, again with praising blurbs all over it. Two well-received books that I now have in trade paperback. So that is your Monday mail. We have those books plus my beautiful Bluetooth keyboard for my iPad, which is great to have. The thing that I want to remind myself is that it's great to have, even if, in a little while I decide, well, maybe I miss the form factor of the iPad. Maybe I want the iPad back as an iPad. It's still great to have this thing. If I decide, okay, well, it's a little bit more of a load off your mind. You now have an extra level of redundancy. You have another laptop, essentially. Then there's no reason that says I have to use it every day. I could take the iPad out of that Bluetooth keyboard, take the power cord for charging the Bluetooth keyboard, and just store them, and use the iPad as an iPad. It's all now that I know that it works, and now that I have one, I'm perfectly well content. I will use it from time to time, although I'm really liking the holding it as a book, the carrying it around as a book. So I may not pop the iPad out and use the iPad as an iPad. So, but one way or another, that is your Monday mail. And we'll see if we can do, there's no chance, I don't think, but we'll see if we can do another streak of mail every day this week. So I'm gonna wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.